Put your hands together for Stephen Alexander.
I realized that I was gay when I was 10 years old. I was completely comfortable with that fact. I accepted it immediately. I just knew it wasn't something that you tell mom or dad, for instance. And I also knew what type of man I was drawn to, which is to say I liked very masculine, very blue-collar type of guys. The type of guys that my dad worked with, and he was a foreman in the oil drilling business, so you can imagine. These were very rugged, boots and jeans and t-shirt type of guys, dusty, smelling of crude oil, yeah? And usually they had facial hair. If they had a beard, oh my God, I was just enamored with them immediately. And this was the early 70s. You really didn't see a lot of bearded guys in the early 70s. Not like you do today, anyway. I was fortunate. I lived in a very redneck blue-collar town of Bakersfield, California. So I was surrounded by these type of men, and at 10 years old, I was horny constantly. The only problem was none of these guys were gay. Now, as I got older and started going out to the bars in Bakersfield, and for a redneck town, there were actually 2 gay bars in Bakersfield. One of them, called The Cellar, was this dance club, flashy, lots of lights and a glitter ball and mirrors on the wall, loud thumping music. I would go and this place was packed. However, all of the guys here were very pretty. They were dressed in their Sunday best. They had on slacks and blousy shirts. They had sweaters draped over their shoulders like some kind of weird quilted cape. They were doused in perfume and had their best George Michael feathered hair. And all of them were clean shaven. So I was not attracted to any of these men that were in this community that I was supposed to fit into. And I began to get a little bit concerned. What does this mean for me? Am I going to have to settle for someone that I'm really not attracted to? And keep in mind, this was the late 80s, so there wasn't the breadth of gay culture that we have now. This was very much the ideal. Well, cut to one weekend, I picked up 3 of my gay friends and we went out to the bars. And we spent some time at the Cellar dancing and drinking and having a good time, but then we wanted something a little bit quieter and go sit somewhere and chat for a while. So we went to the other bar. Down the road, it was called the Casablanca. Casablanca was about as different from the Cellar as you could get. It was just this boxy little building in an otherwise empty lot surrounded by industrial buildings. It had one dim little bulb over the open doorway just to even let you know it was open. There was no thumping music. They had a jukebox that played only country music hits. No dance floor at all, just a bar, tables and chairs. So we arrived and we sat there and we got some drinks and we sat down and we were having a good chat when suddenly we realized that somebody was standing in the doorway. And I looked up and my jaw hit the floor because standing in that doorway was a tall, burly guy in work boots and jeans and a Levi jacket. He had a full blonde beard and a cap on his head. And I thought, holy shit, if this guy's gay, there might be something going on for me here. He stood there and he surveyed the room for a few moments, and then he turned around and walked back out. Well, I really don't remember the next few seconds. I do remember hearing my chair hit the floor, and I think I spilled my drink, but I pretty much teleported from that table to outside the bar. I looked around, where did he go? And I found him standing by a payphone out near the parking lot with a woman. And I thought, shit, this must be his wife or his girlfriend. Wasn't sure, so I thought I would saunter by and kind of listen and see if I could get an idea. And as I walked by, I heard her comment to him, "Sorry, sir, I don't have any spare change to give you." And I thought, oh, he's homeless. Well, this hadn't occurred to me. I walked out to my car and, having no real reason to be there, opened up the door and pretended like I was looking for something. When I suddenly heard behind me, "Hey, sir, can you spare some change so I can get a beer?" And I turned around, and there he was. And holy crap, he was everything I would describe in my perfect guy. He had on brown boots and jeans and a huge belt buckle and an even huger pouch under that belt buckle. T-shirt, beautifully trimmed blonde beard, and beautifully trimmed hair with a cap on it. And I thought, holy shit, this guy is perfect. And I said to him, "Well, sir, you do know what kind of bar this is, right?" And he said, "I have lots of friends who are gay. It really doesn't bother me." And I said, "Well, you know, if it really is just a beer you want, I have lots of beers at home. If you'd like, we could go to my house. You could have all the beers you want. And if you want, I'll give you a blowjob too." Yeah, I was that bold. Well, he looked down at the ground and shuffled his feet a bit. Then he looked back up at me and he said, "All right, but that's going to take whiskey." "Not a problem." I said, "We'll stop and get some whiskey." We got in my car and I headed out to the street. While he was putting on his belt buckle, he says to me, "Do you do this a lot? Pick up guys you don't know and take them home?" I said, "Well, gosh, no, I think this is actually the first time." And I noticed his hand kind of hesitated down at his side, where I hadn't realized was an 8-inch Bowie knife attached to his belt. He looked at me and he said, "Well, you know, this is pretty stupid, because I could be planning to kill you. I could be planning to take your money, take your car. I could be a murderer." He said, "I'm not, and you're lucky. But you really ought to think about that." And I admitted, yeah, I probably should think about that. But knowing me, horny wins out over stupid any day. So we stopped at a liquor store. I gave him $20. He went in and got a bottle in a brown paper bag and brought it back out, actually gave me my change. And then we headed on to my house. And I asked him about his homeless status. I said, "I noticed you were asking for change from multiple people. Are you homeless?" He said, "No, I'm not homeless. I'm a hobo." I looked at him. I said, "Well, isn't that just the same thing?" He said, "No. Homeless people are homeless because usually some circumstances put them there." He said, "Hobos choose not to have a home. They choose to travel from city to city, and they do odd jobs that nobody else wants to do." He went on to describe a very cohesive community that actually considered themselves a part of the working machine of cities and towns to keep them running smoothly. I thought, wow, I never thought of it that way. He almost made it sound noble. We made it to my house, went in, he put his bottle on the table, and then he said, "Where's your bathroom?" I said, "Well, it's right through there, right through my bedroom." He went in there, closed the door, and I heard the water come on. And then reality hit me. I didn't know what to do now. I paced nervously. I thought, you know, I'd had lots of sex before in places where men gather for sex, like rest stops and places out in the forest. But these were all very controlled. You knew what you were there for, you did what you were going to do, and you took off. This guy was at my place now. He wasn't just going to be gone when we were done. So I was nervous. And I thought, "Dear Abby, What exactly is the etiquette for when you bring a strange hobo home with the intent to have sex with him? Do you just get fully undressed immediately? Do you put on candlelight and soft music? That didn't seem right. So I sat there nervously waiting, and he was in the bathroom for 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes. And I began to think, what the hell is he doing in there? Finally, he came out, still fully dressed, just like when he went in. The only difference was he had a washcloth in his hand that was soaking wet. He said, "Come here, give me your hand." Okay. Held out my hand, and he put the washcloth in it, and he said to me, "I just washed everything but my cock. You're going to do that." Well, it was clear at this moment that I was not in control of the situation. He hopped up on my bed and put his feet up on there and looked at me expectingly. I didn't know what to do. I knew what I wanted to do, which was to go over there and put my hand on that obvious hard-on in his jeans. So I walked over there and sat on the bed, put my hand on his thigh, and he said, "Stop." I pulled my hand back. What did I do wrong? He pointed at his feet and said what I think to that point and almost to today is one of the hottest things I'd ever heard in my life. He said, "Now take off my boots." Chills. And I got down there and I started undoing those boots. And he proceeded to direct me in every step of taking off all of his clothing. He told me where to touch him, how hard and for how long. He told me where to kiss him and lick him, and for how hard and how long. And at one point I was down chowing on his cock when I heard him say, "Okay, now I want to fuck you." I'd never been fucked before. And all I knew about being fucked was that it was going to hurt. It was going to hurt, but if you could manage to live through the pain long enough, it was going to become pleasurable. I'm not a fan of pain, but I was not going to be saying no to this guy. So he told me to get all my clothes off, kneel on the floor in front of my bed. I did that, and I buried my face in the bed. Waiting, he saw a mirror that was leaning up against the wall, and he said, "Oh, I want to watch myself fuck you." So he went and got the mirror, and he set it up so he could see both of us in it. And then I felt his hands on my back. Then I felt his hands on my ass. I felt him kind of doing stuff back there. I gritted my teeth and waited, because I knew this was going to hurt. And then he said, "Okay, it's in." I thought, is he joking? Where's the pain? Where's the pleasure? I looked over in the mirror and I could see him moving back and forth behind me. I knew he was doing stuff. So then I thought, dear Abby, what's the etiquette when the hobo you've brought home is balls deep in your ass and you're not feeling it? So I did what I thought was polite. I pretended I was enjoying it. Right, ladies? I started moaning. Oh, fuck. Oh, God, fuck me, Daddy. Fortunately, he got over that pretty quick and pulled out and went and hopped back up on my bed with his dick in front of my face and said, "All right, suck my dick some more." I said, "Okay." I got up there and I was reaching for his cock. I noticed the time, and it was 10 minutes after 2 a.m. Now, the bars close at 2 a.m. in California, and I had driven all of my friends there. This is the 80s, no Uber, no Lyft. And getting a taxi in Bakersfield at 2 a.m., not easy. So I said, holy shit, we gotta leave. And he said, what the hell are you talking about? We're not done. I said, oh no, you don't understand. I drove my friends to the bar and the bar's just closed 10 minutes ago. I gotta go pick them up. And he said, you're not going anywhere until you finish what you started. Okay. So I took a breath and I got down and I chowed down in his cock like a basset hound on a bone. He was accommodating. He didn't make it last. He got off pretty quick. And as soon as he did, I got up and I started getting dressed. And I was like, come on, where you gotta go, where you gotta go. We got in the car, he grabbed his whiskey, and I hightailed it to Casablanca, and it was closed. No little light on, no cars in the parking lot, no friends anywhere. Oh, shit. Well, I said to him, well, thanks. Maybe I'll see you again sometime. He just looked at me strange, got out of the car, and he saluted me with his whiskey. I didn't pay any attention. I went off driving, looking for my friends, and after a few blocks found them pissed off underneath an overpass. I pulled up, sorry. They got in grumbling, saying, what the fuck happened to you? And I looked at them and I said, have I got a story to tell you?